Yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
So I guess trying out for the Milwaukee Bucks' new G League team, the Wisconsin Herd, isn't the best idea. My parents always taught me that if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here, because how do you recap this Packers loss without talking about Mason Crosby's 5 missed kicks?
This is absolutely nuts. This is what you have been waiting a long time for, especially here at Wrigley. What is this moment like for you?
Yeah, this is it. You know, this is the reason we work all off season.
The last time the Bucks had home court advantage throughout the playoffs, Bette Midler won a Grammy for Best New Artist.
It's a sold-out half practice here, because that's really what family night is. It's about 50% practice and 50% kind of like recess in elementary school, where everyone's just sort of running around doing whatever they want.
Freddie Peralta was a man on a mission in the Brewers' early afternoon win today. 8 innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts.
Mount Pleasant, Michigan, a population roughly 3 times smaller than Lambeau Field on game day, but this is where it all started for new head coach Matt LaFleur.
Mertz Mania just getting started in Madison, and in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, you will soon enough.
And why wouldn't you be excited about that coaching tree, since the top of it is Sean McVay, who of course has his Rams right here at Super Bowl 53. Live in Atlanta, Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports.
Drug dealing at 12, in and out of jail by 15 or so. Where would you be if not for basketball?
I don't know. I think I'll be in the cemetery or in the penitentiary.
It's a long road from 14 arrests to 14 years in the NBA. Racine's Caron Butler was speeding down a bad path until solitary confinement helped him turn his life around.
And I was 23 hours down in the cell, and I had 1 hour to have rec. I had to take a shower. I had to get all that in and go right back to my cell for another 23 hours, sun up, sun down.
23 hours in a cell at 15 years old, day after day. Just think about that for a minute, because thinking is really all Caron could do.
I remember my 4th grade conversations with my teacher. Caron, you're different. You can be special. I remember being kicked out of, school, and, my grandmother being there, my auntie being there crying, pleading to the school board to give me another chance. I remember my mother, running me off the block. Police officers man, just stay off the block. You're gonna die, man. Something bad is gonna happen. All these conversations just, boom, just hit me at once.
He reached a crossroads. Take the right turn and get a fresh start. Take the wrong turn, and Caron knew exactly where he'd end up.
I think the biggest thing is, people that you played in the sandbox with and people that you seen on a consistent basis, they're no longer here. I think going to the funerals and seeing people that was just next to you, now all of a sudden they're laying on their back and they're looking up at you. And you're looking down at them, and that could have easily been you in that situation. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I see individuals that, I had to help bury, and the reality of all that set in. And, I knew I was destined to do something else.
Something else turned into making more than $100 million in the NBA, Harvard Business School, and a permanent job as the role model of Racine.
This is a promise that I made back in 2002. I said when I get out of here, I promise I'll be back, because it was so many people that I idolized and I looked up to, and when they made it out, they just never came back.
He's lived up to that promise. We went to his childhood home where everyone has a story about Caron Butler, whether they played with him, want to play like him, or watched him grow up.
He's like almost like a god to some people, because he really comes back and he gives back to the community. Caron has done a phenomenal job in the Racine area, especially for the children.
And the kids can be like, he came from where I came from. I can do it because he did it. I'm no different than you.
Caron retired from the NBA this year, but that's not the end of his journey. He's already gotten the green light to start his second career as a broadcaster.
Yeah, they didn't have the footage, so I'm good with that.
Reporting in Racine, Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports. Mount Pleasant, Michigan, a population roughly 3 times smaller than Lambeau Field on game day, but this is where it all started for new head coach Matt LaFleur.
You go from the stadium at Mount Pleasant to the stadium up north. Wow.
Quintessential All-American, clean-cut kid who had quite a drive and a desire to be successful.
You don't have to look far to see where Matt's drive and competitive spirit came from.
I don't want to lose, ever.
That's Mom.
Win, damn it!
That's her win damn it doll. She throws it at the TV when things aren't going so well.
That's the purpose of it.
I would play cards. She'd win, and I'd throw the cards.
And that's Dad. Combined, Denny and Christy have more than 50 years of coaching experience. So it shouldn't surprise you to learn that Matt grew up as the typical coach's kid. He was the high school quarterback and point guard, a captain who led by example throughout his high school, college, and professional careers.
That's him right there. He was a coach as a player. And I think that's the best description I can give him.
So when you see that and the Packers helmet right next to him and the front page, what goes through your mind?
We all did a good job.
He had some type of mission or something in his thinking that this is what I want to do.
You know, we followed him as a leader from that standpoint because he took the reins of the football team. There was never any question about that.
Touchdown, Saginaw Valley!
Once he was ready to hang up his cleats, Matt didn't have to look far to start his coaching career. He stayed right here at his alma mater, Saginaw Valley State University, becoming an offensive assistant. The first step on a long road towards becoming head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Anytime you have a player that goes right into the coaching role, there's that unique transition. You know, can you still talk to him like a friend? Do you have to call him coach? Those simple things, but it was really natural.
It wasn't like, oh, I miss playing football. He just went right into that role with really no problem at all.
Matt rose quickly, going from an offensive assistant at SVSU to an offensive coordinator at Ashland. That's when he got his big break, a chance with the NFL. Of course, that chance meant a pay cut of $25,000 and dropping back to the low man on the totem pole with the Houston Texans. But the gamble paid off because 10 years and 6 jobs later, here we are.
They just moved from northern Michigan to Ashland, and now they were moving to Houston. So she's moved a lot.
Yeah, believe she said something like 11 times. This is the 11th move. I said, let's make this the last one.
When you hear Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers, what do you think?
I wish it was me. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people would just love that one shot and say, I wish I was doing that. And I'm an old coach. I would too.
I'm really proud of what he's done, but more importantly, I'm proud of who he is as a person, and he's never lost focus of where you come from and who you are, because that really is ultimately the most important thing.
Denny and Christy were in Green Bay when Matt was introduced as the new head coach and said they were blown away by how similar the NFL's smallest market felt to Mount Pleasant, and that they love that it just has that hometown Midwestern feel to it at Lambeau Field. This is where it all starts. Since 1884, Louisville Slugger has been the name in baseball bats.
When you think about it, though, these really are like a work of art.
More than half of major leaguers swing a Louisville Slugger. So did 90% of Hall of Famers.
Not a week goes by where I meet somebody and they find out what I do and they're like, oh my God, you have the coolest job.
But it's more than a job for PJ and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, it's just being part of the game, being in the tradition. I love watching the game and seeing the product that I had a hand making being used by these guys. It's a good feeling.
It never gets old because, you know, today we're shipping out a pallet to the Miami Marlins and tomorrow it'll be, you know, the Yomiuri Giants over in Japan.
This place is literally packed with baseball history and Brewers history. The bats that Christian Yelich used during his MVP season, they're here. And if you go in the vaults, the bat that was used as the template for Hank Aaron.
We've got about 5,000 bats in this room over here. That's 5,000 baseball stories right there.
Yelich is one of the most unique stories. He's actually the first player in the company's 135-year history to sign with Louisville Slugger in their building.
Oh, I remember doing that bat because I'm the last one that gets these bats. It makes me proud to be able to do that.
I still get goosebumps when I see our bats succeeding in Major League Baseball.
Between Yelich, Travis Shaw, and many others, the Brewers are hoping for goosebumps all throughout 2019. Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports.